What began as a holiday weekend turned into one of the most chilling true crime cases in recent Tennessee history. This is the story of Jasmine "Jazzy" Pace, a vibrant young woman whose life was cut tragically short. Jasmine Pace was 22 years old, living in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and known by almost everyone as Jazzy. It was more than just a nickname. It captured who she was. Jasmine was expressive, outgoing, and deeply connected to her family. She stayed in touch constantly, checked in often, and never went long without letting someone know where she was. To those who loved her, Jasmine wasn't the kind of person who simply vanished. As Thanksgiving weekend in 2022 approached, there was nothing to suggest that anything was wrong. Jasmine planned to spend time with family, enjoy the holiday, and relax like so many others. The days leading up to Thanksgiving were ordinary, quiet, normal. Then, Thanksgiving Day arrived, and with it came a message that would later feel haunting. Jasmine texted her mother saying she was going to spend some time with a friend. It didn't sound alarming. There was no obvious distress, but something about it felt different. Her family couldn't immediately explain why, just a sense that something wasn't quite right. After that message, the silence began. Calls went unanswered, texts weren't returned. Jasmine's phone, which was usually active, went completely quiet. At first, her family tried not to panic, but as the hours stretched on, worry began to settle in. By the next day, that worry turned into fear. Jasmine still hadn't checked in. She hadn't posted online. She hadn't responded to anyone. For someone as close to her family as Jasmine was, this behavior was completely out of character. Her loved ones didn't wait for answers to come to them. They started searching. They called friends. They retraced her recent movements. They looked for any clue, no matter how small. As they pieced together the last known moments before the silence, one name kept appearing: Chen. Chen was Jasmine's boyfriend. Their relationship, according to friends and family, had its ups and downs. There were arguments, tension, concerns that at the time may not have seemed urgent, but would later feel impossible to ignore. Like many relationships, the details stayed private, but in hindsight, warning signs began to stand out. As word spread that Jasmine was missing, the community stepped in. Friends shared her photo online, flyers circulated. People who had never met her joined the search, hoping to spot her car or recognize her face. Candlelight vigils were held as days passed with no answers. Each new lead brought brief hope, only to fade again. For her family, the waiting was agonizing. Every phone call felt like it could be the one that changed everything. When police became involved, technology played a crucial role. Investigators examined Jasmine's phone records and location data. The results were alarming. The last known location of her phone placed her at Chen's apartment. That single detail shifted the direction of the entire investigation. When detectives questioned Chen, his story didn't hold up. He claimed that he and Jasmine had argued and that she left afterward. He said he didn't know where she went, but digital evidence contradicted him. Phone data showed no movement consistent with his version of events. While police worked to sort through the evidence, Jasmine's family clung to hope. They searched relentlessly, believing that as long as there were no answers, there was still a chance she could be found alive. Every passing hour felt heavier than the last. Then the case took a devastating turn. Along the banks of the Tennessee River, authorities discovered a suitcase. It was out of place, heavy, suspicious. What they found inside confirmed everyone's worst fears. Inside the suitcase was Jasmine Pace. The details of her death were horrific. Jasmine had been stabbed more than 60 times. Her arms were restrained. The violence was extreme, far beyond what could be explained by a momentary loss of control. Investigators described it as personal, deliberate, and brutal. News of the discovery devastated her family and shocked the community. A young woman who had disappeared during a holiday weekend was now confirmed to be the victim of a violent homicide. Police moved quickly. Chen was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. As the case moved toward trial, the evidence against him continued to grow. Inside Chen's apartment, investigators found blood evidence and signs of an attempted cleanup. When the trial began, the courtroom became the center of a painful search for truth. Prosecutors laid out a detailed timeline of Jasmine's final hours. She went to Chen's apartment, an argument began, and then the violence escalated beyond reason. The medical examiner testified that Jasmine suffered more than 60 stab wounds, including defensive injuries. These injuries showed that she fought desperately to survive. Jurors listened as the evidence revealed not just how she died, but how hard she tried to live. The courtroom remained silent as graphic testimony was presented. Every detail carried weight. Every word mattered. Then came a moment that stunned many people following the trial. Chen's own defense attorney admitted that Chen killed Jasmine. The defense argued that it was a crime of passion, a sudden emotional breakdown, not a planned act. But prosecutors pushed back forcefully. They pointed to the restraints on Jasmine's arms. They pointed to the suitcase used to dispose of her body. They pointed to the cleanup attempt. They pointed to the lies Chen told afterward. This wasn't panic. This wasn't impulse. It was intent. Throughout the trial, Jasmine's family sat through every day of testimony. They listened to details no family should ever have to hear. They watched evidence that replayed the most terrifying moments of her life, and still they stayed. They faced the truth head-on, determined to see justice served. After deliberation, the jury returned their verdict: guilty. Chen was convicted of first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. For Jasmine's family, the verdict brought accountability, but it could never bring peace. No sentence could undo what was taken from them. No ruling could restore the future that was stolen. Jasmine Pace was more than a true crime story. She was a daughter, a friend, and a young woman whose life was filled with potential. Her story now serves as a reminder of how quickly warning signs can turn into tragedy, and how important it is to trust instincts and speak up when something doesn't feel right. If you or someone you know is in a relationship that feels unsafe, don't ignore it. Reach out, speak up. Help can save lives. Thank you for watching. If you want more true crime stories told with care, respect, and depth, subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments which case we should cover next.